Okay, welcome back to part 4, I think, of creating our character counter site in Angular. In this series, we're going to create the same site in Angular, ASP.NET Core MVC, and also Flask. I thought this would be a fun project to do, both with you guys and just on my own, and hopefully benefit from this in some way. And Happy New Year, by the way, if you're watching this at least around the time this comes out, and if not, disregard me saying that. Today we're going to go over setters and getters in Angular, how you can use those, why they might be useful to you. And yeah, let's just hop into it. So if we remember what we did in the last video, if you haven't seen it, go back and check it out. We created this text area component where it's going to allow our user to either type in something or paste in something, and then eventually up here we'll display how many characters are in that string that was passed in or typed or whatever. And so what I want to do in this video is I want to create setters and getters for whatever we're going to bind this to in the back end. And whenever someone enters something new in here, it's going to put in the console in our dev tools right here, that value. So we can kind of debug it along the way. So let's get into that. Back in VS Code, if we go to our counter component class, let's create a private property called underscore text of type string. And right off the bat, we're going to give it just an empty string value. But if we try to bind the text area value to this underscore text, it's not going to work because this is private. And to do this, we need to create setters and getters, which are just methods to set the value of text and also retrieve the value of text. So these are all public. And let's start with the getter. It's going to be get. And the name of this is going to be just the same, but without the underscore. So just text. And it's going to return a string. And this is a pretty easy method. It's just return this dot underscore text. And pretty similarly for the setter, public set text, same name as the get, and we're actually going to pass in a value this time. It's going to be whatever we want to call it, so just value for me of type string. And in this method, we can say this dot underscore text is equal to the value passed in. And here's where setters are kind of cool, because if we want to do more logic as well, whenever a value is set to text, user types something new in here, we might want to run some kind of method or do some kind of logic. So what I'll do is I'll create another method down below, public, called debug, and we can pass in a string to this too. And all this method is going to do is console.log the value passed in. So we can see it in our developer tools. So whenever a value is set to text, we're going to set underscore text equal to that, but we can also call debug and pass in value. And hopefully by doing this, you can see how setters can be useful, because you might have a more intense method you want to run every time the value is set than just logging it to the console. In fact, if we wanted to, we can not even create a method entirely. I was just doing that just to show you. We can just copy this and put it here and get rid of this whole entire method. But I'll keep it a method for now. So now I want to bind whatever is in this text area to this text value. How do we do that? There's a few things we need to do actually ahead of time, and that is to bring the forms module into our app module. So let's do that. In the imports, I'm going to say forms module and let IntelliSense do it for me. So it added forms module to our imports, and it also added this import forms module from Angular Forms. And the reason we want this forms module is because it gives us access to the ng model directive in Angular, which allows us to bind whatever the user enters in this text area to that text property in our TypeScript. So right here in the text area, we can do open and close square braces, and then open and close parentheses, then ng model, and we're going to set the value equal to, is it text? Yeah, text. And disregard me putting a capital N, it's actually a lowercase n, I'm not sure what I was doing. That's why it wasn't compiling successfully, and yeah, let's see now if whenever we set a value to that text area, if it'll be logged in the console. So back to our app. And here I'll start typing something. Notice now in the console, it might be small to see for you guys, but when I start typing something, it gets sent to the console. And that's because it goes through our setter method, when it gets set, and then we say pass that value along to the debug method as well, and that consoles.logs the value. Okay, and real briefly, if we wanted to show how many characters are in this string, it's now pretty easy to do. So if we go back to our HTML, above this, I'm just going to put maybe like an H2 or something, and say characters, and we can now bind text dot length. And now if I start typing, you can notice that character count is going up, and if I hit the backspace a few times, it'll also go back down. So if we wanted to, we could say this is done, but I think there's some more I still want to do with this Angular app, just to go through it with you guys, and hopefully you'll enjoy that and learn something. And yeah, hopefully you're enjoying the series. I think I am, and I hope to see you in the next video.